Thank you so much, Angie, for joining us today. It's lovely to see you
It's my great pleasure to be here, Jeanette.
and to have a big discussion about how impact matters.
Absolutely,
And
it
I
is
know that,
important.
yeah, and you're having such an impact, and I watch you and I'm very impressed. But I thought we might just start with a couple of light questions. So, what's something people would be surprised to learn about you?
Well, I think most people think that politicians, I prefer parliamentarian to the term politician, but most people think that politicians perhaps have a silver spoon or are born into politics, and I'm sure there are some who have been. But for my journey began in South Australia in public housing trust housing. My father and my two grandfathers, both my brothers, worked at General Motors Holden in Elizabeth,
Okay.
and I spent the first 8 years of my life there growing up. And my parents managed to scrape together through their earnings, my mother worked full time, a deposit on a home, and they bought a very modest 3-bedroom brick and tile place in a place called Gawler, which is the gateway to the Barossa Valley. And I spent the rest of my childhood growing up there in South Australia. And so I don't sort of come from a wealthy background. I've had to work for everything that I've built, and that absolutely is why I'm a member of the Liberal National Party, and I believe in reward for effort and smaller governments and governments getting out of the way of people's lives and individuals' responsibility, Jeanette, which I think is the key to the building block of our society.
I totally agree. I totally agree. Do you have a favourite quote, motto that inspires you?
I think something that I talk to young people about as the Shadow Minister for Youth, as I speak with schools in Moncrief, as I travel the country speaking to young people, is if you don't have a go, you'll never know. And I've lived that throughout my life. When I was very young, I've had some great opportunities put forward to me, and I've always said yes to that opportunity. And I would say to young people, and can I say to many women out there who may lack confidence as well, as we all do at different times in our lives, have a go. Because you don't want to wake up the next morning and think, well, I should have had a go, but now I'll never know. And so you need to back yourself. Because if you don't back yourself, how can you expect others to back yourself?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
100%. Yeah, it's a really good quote. A really, really good quote. So what's the best piece of advice you've ever received?
Well, I think just keep going. It's not what happens to you, it's how you manage what happens to you or how you react to what happens to you. It's not what you say, it's how you say it. That's one that has been with me my whole life. I've had very many mentors across so many years. I'm very lucky to have male mentors, female mentors, teachers, people in my life who have really made a big difference through giving me lots of different advice. And of course, in politics, there's lots of free advice. Every day, everyone has a view on every issue, and it's important to be a good listener. And I think that good leaders listen twice as much as they speak.
I totally agree with you.
So I think that there's very many different levels of advice that I've received across my life. One that sticks in my head is the ABC of life, which I learnt from a drummer, a world-class rock drummer who played drums for Pink around the world, a friend of mine, Mark Schulman, and he goes by the theme of ABC of life, which is your attitude affects your behaviour and your behaviour affects the consequences.
Absolutely.
And so again, if you're a young person and you can intervene your thoughts or be aware enough to recognise that your attitude is starting out the wrong way, then you can actually change your behaviour with your attitude at the beginning, which then snowballs to behaviour, to consequence. So it's a good rule to live your life by.
Totally is. I like another one too, is that things happen for you, not to you, so that when things are tough, they're the best learning curves.
I think so, and nobody gets a free pass in life.
No.
We all have difficulties with health, with mental health, with loss. Loss is a difficult one. I lost my mother when I was 26 some years ago. I'm not 26 anymore, Jeanette. But that was a very difficult time in my life. I've faced challenges like everybody else, health challenges, as I said, and family challenges, financial challenges, and we all face them.
Absolutely.
It's about getting up and keep going.
Absolutely it is. Well, that's awesome. Okay, so let's get into the interview. Can you start by telling us a little bit about who you are and what you do?
Well, I'm the federal member for Moncrief, which is the most beautiful electorate in the country, and I'm happy for people to argue that point, but I think it is definitely the best place in Australia to live, to work, to raise a family here on the Gold Coast. And I'm very privileged, having come from a disadvantaged background, to now represent what I would consider to be the best electorate. I still pinch myself when I drive from my home at the southern end of the electorate into Surfers Paradise to Chevron Island, where my office is. Each time I drive along the beautiful coastline at Surfers Paradise or Narrowneck, on the way, I remind myself how lucky I am and how privileged I am to be the federal member for Moncrief. I'm also the Shadow Minister for Youth. In terms of who I am, I think I'm like an onion, like everybody else. There's layers and layers of to all of us, because I just came from Trinity Lutheran Church in Southport, and they said that everybody is somebody. Everybody has a story, and we're all human. We're all in it together.
We are all in it together.
And at some point we're judged on how we treat others. And that's at different points in one's life. But I think as a society we are judged on how we treat the most disadvantaged.
Absolutely. Absolutely. That's awesome. What first sparked your desire to make an impact in your field or community?
Goodness me. I think when you have challenges in your life, you do toughen up, and from a challenging background. And so as you go through life and you have experiences, it is about how you react to those experiences, not what happens to you. And when you come out from the fire, then you are stronger. So it's true, what doesn't kill you makes you stronger. And you can choose at that point. Life is full of choices, and you can choose to pull yourself up and, as Ros Bates, my good friend, would say, put on your big girl pants.
Absolutely.
And move forward and toughen up, be courageous, because that's what you need to have a voice. My community service started quite late really in my life, because as I said, I was from a disadvantaged background, so I spent a lot of my life trying to educate myself, which I did and continue to do. But I think in terms of my public service or my service to the community, it started at Mermaid Beach Surf Club, which is in the beautiful electorate of Moncrief that I represent. And it was with the Surf Life Saving Movement, who is the biggest volunteer organisation in Australia, and saving lives between the flags. And I learned about my community of Mermaid Beach there at the Surf Club, and that's where I go the night before the election. It's where I go the night after the election. Now you all know where I'm going to be. But that's where I go for a reality check and to get my feet planted firmly back on the ground and talk to the guys behind the bar who have built our great city, many of them, and continue to do so. And they also give back to our community. They pay it forward. Some of the giants of surf life saving across our great electorate come from Mermaid Beach Surf Club. So I think it's about celebrating our community and being part of something special and something bigger. And I think that's what attracted me to politics, being part of something that is a vision that is for our community so that Australians can have a better life. That's why we do it.
Absolutely, 100%. What's one big win you are especially proud of, and what did it teach you?
Goodness. I think there's lots of wins and there's lots of losses as well, and you have to take the wins and the losses in your stride, because each day is different. And if you spend too much time patting yourself on the back, that breeds arrogance.
100%.
Which is not a personal trait I aspire to have. And if you take the losses personally, then you're doomed to repeat that, and it doesn't serve you. So again, what I say to young people is sometimes you have to shed those things that don't serve you or don't have a purpose, and it can take over your thoughts, it can take over your direction, it can take over you as a person. And I say in politics, you grow a layer of skin for every year. And it certainly has to be, you have to have some feathers so that the water sort of rolls off the duck's back.
Absolutely.
To a degree. So
Absolutely.
Don't take things personally, and don't be distracted by your journey or your path or what it is you want to achieve.
Awesome. Well, on the flip side of that, what's a failure or a setback you've experienced, and how did that shape your path?
So many. I don't think people are an overnight success. I don't believe that is the truth. I think people build their journey, or build throughout their journey, the destination that you want to see yourself at. And I think it's important that we enjoy the journey of the destination, because we don't always arrive at the final destination. And so I don't really, obviously I have moments where I think, was what I said appropriate, or was it the right thing to say, where you sort of cross-examine yourself, because you're your own worst critic at times.
Absolutely are.
Yeah. But that doesn't actually serve us, particularly as women. We need to be stronger in our direction, in our focus, and in our steadfast belief in our own abilities.
Absolutely.
Because often we say no to opportunities, as do young people, many of them that I speak to. We say no because we don't believe that we have the capability, but actually
we do. 100% we do. I think too, I often look back on life, and I say this to my kids and my grandkids. I look back and I go, now I know why that happened.
Yes.
And back then it was yucky, but my goodness, the skill sets that I achieved from that particular season in my life, and then you can just look how it's all made you into who you are today.
Absolutely.
So, yeah.
And in politics, you do draw on every single skill that you have. I was talking about this the other day with a group of people, where even reverse parking, when I was a sales representative for 20 years of my life, the skill of reverse parking in a very small park is very useful as an MP. Especially in Southport, especially on the Gold Coast.
Absolutely. Oh, so good. So was there ever a moment you considered giving up?
Of course.
What kept you going?
Of course. What kept me going in this role as a parliamentarian is the community. Is those in the community who don't have a voice, who need a voice, and those in the community who come to my office seeking help, and those in the community who are homeless, who are living in cars, who can't afford to feed their families, who are unemployed for whatever reason, those who have mental health concerns. There are a lot of problems in our local community and around our country, but it's those in our community who deserve a voice through me being their member in office that keeps me going.
How do you define impact in your work?
Well, I think it's like the ripple effect, isn't it? You help one person, and then that person is able to help the next person. So the service that my office provides is everything from pulling out a constituent from Kabul on the last flight when we extracted ourselves from Afghanistan, things like that, which make a big impact to families, to helping someone get their NDIS package who may be suffering from an illness. I find great reward in helping individuals, so one at a time. So the impact over time increases. And over the last 3 years as the Shadow Minister for Youth, I put on 3 Gold Coast Youth Impact Summits with stellar Gold Coast citizen Karen Phillips, who's delivered that program. And what it has done is offer opportunities to young people, like Karen and myself, who were both Rotary Exchange students when we were younger, and we had a great opportunity to develop thanks to Rotary International. And it's about those young people being able to access new networks, new opportunities, and the support that they need, because many of them may not have the family support around them or have a link into the services that can help them. So I'm very proud of the Gold Coast Youth Impact Summit.
Yeah, fantastic. Can you share an example where you saw your work create tangible impact? So maybe for a person, a community, a system.
Absolutely. So I have a Moncrief Community Cabinet which brings together faith leaders of all types of faith across the electorate, and also charities.
Mm-hmm.
Charities like St John's Crisis Centre, serving our people, churches like the Greek Orthodox Church, the Baha'i faith, our Jewish rabbi, people from the Islamic faith, Indigenous community. And so we come together in my office every few months. I started it during COVID where we were on the phone. Remember that?
Yes, I do.
And these leaders, faith leaders and charity leaders or NGOs, they help our community by working together.
Mm.
And having brought them together now over 6 years that I've been in office, we have seen big impacts on people's lives, particularly around when we had our floods.
Mm-hmm.
And when we had Cyclone Alfred. We were able to work with not just local council but with communities directly to open some of those halls and facilities to allow people to come in and charge their phones or get something to eat or have a sleep or whatever it was that they actually needed. And our faith community worked very, very hard during that time, and the Moncrief Community Cabinet delivered a lot of help on the ground. We did things like during the Lismore floods, we sent cleaning products down to northern New South Wales as well and up to Logan as well. So there's a lot of impact that happens that people don't really know about. It's not just about standing up for our community in the House of Representatives and giving a speech on being proud of the Australian flag, for example. It's about real tangible results for our constituency.
Mm. And so many little things, don't they, matter?
Absolutely, they add up. Small things add up.
They sure do. So what drives you to keep showing up, especially when the work gets hard?
I think because of my journey in life, I never thought ever that I would be a parliamentarian. It wasn't on my radar. I never aspired to be a politician. There's that word again. And so I live in gratefulness for the opportunity. It is a great privilege to be representing this part of the world, and I think that's what keeps me going. Of course, there are days that are challenging, and we face many challenges moving forward as a nation. We've seen social discourse, we've seen rallies around our country, we've seen the rise of anti-Semitism, we've seen social cohesion on a knife's edge. And I don't think we've ever had a more precarious time in our history where our communities are divided, when what we should be doing is celebrating our migrant community, 100%. Celebrating our Indigenous communities, lifting everyone up. Mm-hmm. That's what we need to be doing, not dividing our nation.
Absolutely. I couldn't agree with you more. So what kind of legacy do you hope to leave behind?
Well, I think I've outlined the Gold Coast Youth Impact Summit has been very important to the last 3 years in office. I think my legacy will be defined by what the constituents of Moncrief say it is. I don't have a plan for a great grand legacy as such, but I try every day to impact as many lives as possible in servile leadership, where I am your servant. I'm working for you if you live in the electorate of Moncrief, and of course if you have an interest in the environment portfolio. So obviously we need to protect our environment, but we also need to preserve jobs and make sure that there is certainty for industry moving forward in that portfolio. So that is the work that I'm doing at the moment on the EPBC reform measures that are going to come before the Parliament in the next few months. And I think that is probably one of the most important things that I can do as the Shadow Minister for the Environment for young people, is make sure that the future is in the best hands it can be.
Absolutely.
And that in this instance means some bipartisanship on the reforms that are ahead of us on the EPBC Act.
Absolutely. I think we're going to have some good conversations. What advice would you give to someone who wants to make a difference but isn't quite sure where to start?
I would say channel Rosbates and put your big girl pants on or big boy pants on and take the opportunity to volunteer in whatever capacity you find piques your interest. It might be surf life saving like it was for me and getting my surf bronze, or it might be volunteering for a political organisation, which I also did as the women's president of the LNP in the state of Queensland and vice president a year before that. So I volunteered for 4 or 5 years before I became the member. Mm-hmm. Or it might be in a local charity, as I said, in Surfers Paradise, St John's Crisis Centre, who do such a great job, particularly for women and children fleeing domestic violence. Get involved in your local charity because from that comes opportunities. You meet new people, you may gain a new skill, and you may end up working for one of those organisations, which can be very, very fulfilling because there is a special feeling that you can get by helping someone. And until you do that, you don't get to feel the usefulness of that, if that makes sense. It's making a difference to someone else's life. And if you're in the position where you're privileged enough to be able to do that, then you should be doing that.
And everybody can.
Everybody can.
Because there's so much to be done out there, absolutely.
But there are also a lot of people that don't have the means to do that right now.
100%.
And they are the beneficiaries of volunteering.
Absolutely. So who inspires you right now and why?
I was thinking about who inspires me. Lots of people inspire me. I mean, people are incredible, right? The best and the worst. But I think the people who most inspire me are those people who are making a difference when they themselves are most disadvantaged. So if I think about my neighbour Tilly, who is in a wheelchair, she's a young woman that goes to Miami High and she's been to the Gold Coast Youth Impact Summit. I think she's in her 3rd year since it started, and she has severe cerebral palsy, and she is starting a career as a guest speaker.
Oh, good on her.
Yeah.
We need to get her in here.
Tilly is amazing. She speaks through a keyboard because she's nonverbal. She's an extremely intelligent young woman, and her family is in a position to be able to support her disabilities, which is very important. And I'm sure she has an NDIS package as well that supports her family. But she has a very loving family who give her all the opportunities, and she takes them. Yeah. She's a firecracker, is Tilly, and she really inspires me when I see her. And people like Perry Cross, who, of course, is a Gold Coaster, lives in Broadbeach. You know, Pez has raised so much money for spinal injury research at Griffith University. He had a rugby accident and damaged his spinal cord, and so there's some great research now going on through the Perry Cross Foundation at Griffith University for spinal research to be able to repair spinal injury. That is amazing. That's why, you know, Perry Cross is an outstanding citizen of the Gold Coast. And Dinesh Palapano is another one. Dinesh was this Queensland Australian of the Year. He too is doing some great work. He's a doctor. He is in a wheelchair, as is Perry, as is Tilly. And they are all forging their future and making a really big difference to others because they can. And it's a choice they've made.
And they take something horrible but turn it into something amazing. Yeah.
Absolutely.
They're fantastic. So if you could be remembered for one message or action, what would it be?
I think the most important thing is hope for the future and aspiration, especially for young people who feel like owning their home or having a future is out of the question. It shouldn't be. All Australians should be able to aspire to work hard if they can and build something for themselves and then reinvest that into themselves, their community, their family, and ultimately the country. And I think that's what makes up our great democracy. That was my life experience of aspiration, but through compassion for others who are not able to make something of themselves, because we'll go right back to where we started. I think we're judged on how we treat those less fortunate. So I think aspiration through compassion is what I would like to say.
Awesome.
Mhm.
Well, you are doing amazing things. I have to congratulate you on what you do. You are amazing.
Thank you.
And yes, I think we are going to have a lot of wonderful conversations over a period of time, because I'd love to be supporting you in everything that you do as well, and whatever we can do here to help you would be amazing.
Well, thank you. And thank you for the work that you do with Dignified Movement here in Southport,
Thank you.
helping people, particularly those with disability, living with that. It really is an inspiration to be here with you and to hear about the work that you do for our community. So thank you.